What's going on, everybody? Steve V here with another video. Hope everybody's doing well out there. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about Arcade1up cabinets where concessions were made and basically asking the question, if the concessions are big enough, is it even worth making that specific title or cabinet? We're going to talk about that right after this. So welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you guys checking out the video today. So we're going to talk about Arcade1up cabinets where concessions were made. And basically, if the concessions were 50% or more, is it even worth Arcade1up pursuing that title or cabinet? Now, this is basically based on opinion. But I'm going to kind of give my opinion on the situation and kind of how I feel based on some of these decisions that they're making, how it kind of changes my look on the company. Because I felt like the company represented one thing at the beginning, but now it's starting to kind of represent something else. So that's what we're going to kind of touch on. So Arcade1up making concessions on cabinets is nothing new. I mean, a lot of concessions have been made with a lot of cabinets, but a lot of the times it's so small that you don't even notice. But there has been some cabinets where some pretty big concessions were made where I did kind of think, was it even worth Arcade1up pursuing this certain title or this cabinet? Probably the first example that I can think of is the Frogger cabinet. Now that cabinet looked almost nothing like the original cabinet. They really took a lot of concessions with that. I guess it had to do with the fact that Konami did not want to partner up with Sega, because I guess Sega owns the actual look of the original Frogger cabinet. So since Konami is obviously doing their own thing, they had their own little decal that they decided they want to go with for that cabinet. So that was disappointing. Another thing that had to be changed was the song that was in the actual Frogger game. I did own that cabinet for a little while and I did enjoy it, but the problem was I wasn't playing the game that I remember. And it did bother me that the cabinet did not look authentic to the original cabinet, to the point where I even bought some decal to try to kind of fix it a little bit, make it look a little more authentic. But even then, it just didn't do it for me. So that's why when I got my 60-in-1 cocktail table that had the original Frogger ROM with the original song, I basically sold that cabinet right away. And now I'm able to play Frogger the way I remember it. So another cabinet that a lot of, changes had to be made because they were, dealing with someone that wanted to change a lot of this stuff, is the NFL Blitz cabinet. Now, right off the bat, we found out that they were taking the late hits out of all three games. Now, that did not sit well with a lot of people because that was something that a lot of people remembered from these games back in the day and that they enjoyed. But for whatever reason, NFL did not want the late hits in these games. I guess it just didn't go with the image that they're trying to portray right now. They just felt like this was something that they didn't want to keep in these games if these games were going to be re-released to a new generation. And that was pretty disappointing because that was something that changed all three of those games right off the bat. Again, they had to work to try to get these full rosters. They did pretty good with that, but obviously some concessions had to be made. They couldn't get everybody. They had to change some logos within the actual game. So you were kind of getting something new, and that's why they actually had to brand the cabinet as the NFL Blitz Legends cabinet. So it's not even truly NFL Blitz. This is NFL Blitz Legends. It's something new. Even when you look at the cabinet, it has new artwork on the side. It's got pictures of some NFL legends. They did use the NFL Blitz marquee, but they used the NFL Blitz 99 control panel. So it's all kind of mishmashed to kind of make something new. And it's kind of up to you if you're okay with some of these changes. Now, I actually own that cabinet, and I don't have a lot of nostalgia for the original game, but this is a cabinet that I only play when my friends are over. I don't really play it by myself very often. And my buddy the other day, he did have experience with the original games, and he noticed the changes right away. So it just goes to show that, this is something where If you do have experience with these games, you're going to notice the changes. And if you don't, you're playing something new. Or like I said, I don't really have a lot of nostalgia for the original game. So I don't really have too much of a problem with the changes. But I'm not going to lie to you guys. Every cabinet that I have in my basement right now, I have some type of connection to from the past. And that's one where I don't. So if I were to ever sell something to bring something new in, that will probably be the cabinet to go, because I just don't have any connection to it other than the fact that I bought it to play with my friends. So another cabinet that we're going to talk about where some concessions were made, and this is a very prevalent cabinet right now because it's something that's getting reviewed. It's something that just came out recently, and that's the Fast and the Furious cabinet. Now, a lot of people were kind of disappointed when this cabinet was first announced because they wanted some more classic racers, and this is something where it's kind of new school, something that a lot of people didn't have a lot of experience with, or if they did, it was maybe playing at the movie theaters or whatever. But Arcade1up kind of won these people over in the end because they said that it was going to be the first driving cabinets where you're going to be able to actually play against each other locally through Wi-Fi or through connecting with a cable. If you're not playing locally, then it's just leaderboards. But still, it's pretty cool knowing that you can buy maybe 2 to 4 cabinets and link them and be able to play against each other. Now, that was definitely exciting. And like I said, it won a lot of people over. But then things started kind of going backwards and people started getting disappointed again when news came out that the actual Fast and the Furious game was not going to be on the actual cabinet. Huge concession. Basically, what they were going to do was they were going to make their own port of the Fast and the Furious by taking whatever elements from Fast and the Furious were in the Fast and the Furious Drift. They were going to export it to basically make a new version of the Fast and the Furious game. So you were going to get a lot of things missing because of the fact that obviously the Fast and the Furious Drift did not have every element from the original Fast and the Furious game. So you're not going to get all the elements that you remember from that original game, to the point where the actual car that's pictured on the actual decal of the cabinet, you're not going to have that original car in the actual game. So that's pretty disappointing, and it had me feeling a certain way, and that's why I actually wanted to make this video. So that kind of takes me to my main question, and that is it even worth Arcade1up pursuing these titles and cabinets if they have to make so many concessions? Now, this is really based on opinion, but I do feel like my opinion is an opinion that's kind of matching a lot of people within the community. And that's because a lot of us that buy Arcade1up cabinets are buying based on nostalgia. When this company first came out, that was really something that they were kind of selling to us. It was basically their slogan without actually saying it was their slogan. They were selling nostalgia to us. They were selling it to the people that grew up with these games, grew up with these cabinets. They were selling to a new generation, but really showing, that generation that these were the games that we grew up on, and this is how these cabinets looked. And as time went on and Arcade1up started kind of improving, how they were building their cabinets, they started making a lot of these cabinets look more authentic to the original. They were starting to add more games, and you're really getting these games that, were so much fun to play because they were the games that you remembered from back in the day. Now, as the years have kind of progressed, we're starting to see that they're really trying to get more of a casual audience. And that's when I started seeing them kind of make some of these slight changes on some of these cabinets. Even something as simple as, the Street Fighter 35th anniversary cabinet, the Shinku Hadouken and the Yoga Flame cabinet. The artwork was something custom and different, and something really to kind of celebrate the 35th anniversary, but it was getting away from nostalgia. The games weren't, but the actual look of the cabinet was. And that was something that they just made a choice to do. They made a Miss Pac-Man where they made it all black instead of blue. Again, custom look. I have seen people, customize their Miss Pac-Mans back in the day and do a black and pink. But was it authentic? No. and Arcade1up decided to kind of go this route, and again, custom look. So, it's one of these things where Arcade1up does seem to be kind of going more that route of wanting to do, custom looking cabinets, and kind of being okay with modifying some of these games to kind of bring them to a new generation. But, a lot of this new generation isn't going to know some of these differences, but the people that they kind of connected with at the beginning of the company will notice these differences. And at least to me, who's a little more of a purist with this stuff, it's kind of pushing me away. And I feel like it's pushing some of these other people away that, again, are kind of more of the same mindset as me, which is more of a purist with this stuff. A cabinet that's kind of rumored to be coming out this year or coming out sometime in the future is WWF WrestleFest. Now, to me, this is a nightmare because that's a cabinet right off the bat we know has to be modified a lot. Number one, can't be WWF, has to be WWE. They have to change all the logos. They have to change, the logos on the cabinet as well. The wrestlers in the game, there's a lot of situations with a lot of those wrestlers. Some of them, it's legal stuff. Some of the other ones have unfortunately passed away, so they would have to try to get the rights from either WWE or from their families, which kind of complicates things. It's really a cabinet that is really going to be modified a lot. And it's to the point where this WWF WrestleFest that we're going to be getting is not going to be WWF WrestleFest. It's probably going to be something similar to the re-release of WWE WrestleFest. It's one of those things where, are you okay with that? And again, it's all based on opinion. But for me, as someone that kind of got, intrigued by this company and excited by this company based on the fact that they were selling me nostalgia and selling me cabinets that look the way that I remember and play the way that I remember, the further they get away from that, the more I start losing interest in the company and losing interest in their products. And that's just me, But I do know a lot of people, for example, with the Fast and the Furious cabinet, that are really enjoying it. And they don't care about the fact that, these ports were modified, and they're fine with that. There are people that have NFL Blitz Legends that are, enjoying it the way it is. There are people that have the Frogger cabinet that are okay with the fact that the song's not the same and that it looks completely different. And if you're one of those people, that's great. And these are the people that are going to keep this company going. But for people like me that are a little more on the purist side, it's disappointing when they start going that direction. And unfortunately, kind of, turns me off of the company a little bit. But there's always cabinets that they make throughout the year where, they do hit the mark for me, like the deluxe cabinets that they're doing as far as, the Class of 81, the Pac-Man cabinet, and the Mortal Kombat 2 cabinet, where they kind of rolled me back a little bit because those cabinets look authentic and those games play the way they should. So, I'm always kind of teetering, I guess, because Arcade1up will do things to kind of get me back, but then they do things to kind of push me away. It's just a weird relationship that I guess I have with this company, and that some of us do have with this company. But at the end of the day, I did kind of want to voice my opinion on Arcade1up cabinets with concessions. How do you guys feel about it? Are you okay when they modify these cabinets? Are you okay when they change the look of the cabinets? Or are you someone like me that's a little more of a purist and wants something that looks and plays authentic to what you remember? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching the video. Take care, you guys.